There are several barriers when it comes to implementing circular strategies in facade and building industry, and one of them is financial aspects. Juan Azcárate Aguirre is an expert in the field, and today we are going to talk with him about business models that could overcome these economic and organizational barriers. Thank you, Juan, for joining us.
Thank you very much for inviting me. So basically what we have been researching is how to implement strategies and business models that have already been in use in other industries for already at least 2 decades, and then how to bring them into the construction sector. So these are business models that deal with servitization, with the use of physical assets, of products, in combination with the services they provide in order to be able to dematerialize the whole supply chain. So the idea is to basically unlink the idea that companies have to consume materials and sell products in order to generate profit, and instead replace it with a business model in which the more service they can provide, the more performance they can provide, with fewer and more efficient use of physical components, the higher their profit will eventually become. And as I said, these are business models that already exist in things like aerospace, in things like industrial or construction machinery, already implemented for decades. And what we're doing is just trying to find a way in which we can fit this into the construction sector, which is way more fragmented.
How do you ensure that someone actually would offer all these services and that would be present in the operational phase of the facades?
Well, it's a matter of contractual incentives or contractual obligations rather, and financial incentives. So the idea is in a model in which you do the facade as a service, and then you have a facade as a service provider that is involved not only in the very early decision-making process of the building and of the facade engineering, so to propose exactly which systems are smart to integrate into the building, but also they will be responsible for the entire life cycle operation of the components. So every single time they have to be updated or maintained or serviced, and all the way up to the end when they recover the materials to either produce this next generation or to bring them to another project and produce a different facade. This party would be involved throughout. And this is another big source of value for the facade manufacturing sector, because at the moment, what we see from research of, for example, Tillman Klein and other parties, is that by the time that the facade builder gets involved, it's already too late very often to make any significant decisions or changes to the facade. So if you have this facade as a service provider who is involved at the very start, when you just conceptualize the building, you bring them in, you tell them what your parameters are for the building performance, for the end user comfort, even in terms of flexibility, which is becoming more and more important in the real estate markets, how flexible your building is to change with changes in trends, fluctuations in use, occupancy, etc., the better the performance will be. And we see that basically this facade service provider could have the central role as a sort of general contractor, but over time, sort of a 4D general contractor, integrating all the other disciplines that have to be involved, not only at the beginning of the project, like architects and engineers and other planners, but also over the long period, even cleaning companies, both internal and external to the building, all kinds of other contractors and subcontractors and people that are replacing different components of the building. They should all be coordinated. If they are involved in the facade or if they have some kind of interface to the facade, they should be coordinated by the same party. So this generates much more of a consistent flow, also in support of the building owner who has his own problems, as I explained before. And he wants to sort of streamline the process and make sure that his concerns can be more focused towards his tenant, who is his customer in the end, or his staff, if it's a building owner who has his own internal staff in the building, and less towards upkeep of technical services that might not be in his area of expertise as a real estate provider, let's say.
Thank you very much, Juan. It was a really interesting conversation.
Very welcome. Thank you very much for inviting me.